Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. This pretty watercolor butterfly in these like pretty purple and blue colors. So I don't do a ton of watercolor stuff, so this is one of my first ever ones that I've done here on this channel. I love the way that they look, but they can be very intimidating, I feel like, to do. So I watched a lot of other tutorials and kind of took everything that I learned to create this drawing tutorial here. I promise it's super, super easy. Anyone can do it. It is not as hard as it looks. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so that's linked in the description below. If you join us over there, you get access to exclusive tutorials every month, along with sneak peeks of what we're going to be drawing over here on YouTube. So again, that's linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. But before we get started on the drawing today, you will need to download a few things. You'll need to download the color palette, the sketch of mine if you'd like to use it, and the paper texture to add at the end to kind of finish off our drawing and really make it look watercolor-like. So those are all linked in the description below. They're totally free to download. Just save all the files to your iPad. For the color palette, you'll just need to double tap that file on your iPad to open it up, and it'll automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. For the paper texture, again, just save that to your files to use later, and same with the sketch. You can save that to your files to import, and I will show you when and how to do that. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed here on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we will be working with today. We have essentially just all of our like background and wing colors. Then we have some shadow colors. Then we have our body colors. And then we have these last three over here are like our background splattery colors. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to set our background to this bright white color. If yours isn't already set to it, it's the standard one that happens when you create a new canvas, but just in case I included it. So on our layer menu, we'll click on this background color layer and select the first color on the first row of the color palette to set it to that bright white color. Then we're going to be on layer 1, and we're first just going to sketch really quick. If you don't want to sketch, you can use my sketch. I've included it in the downloads, and you can just go to the gear icon, go to add, and then insert a file or a photo wherever you saved it on your iPad, and you can insert it that way. And then you can either just skip this sketching entirely and go straight to this timestamp here where we start creating the shapes, or you can use my sketch to just kind of work off of to make your own sketch. So whichever way you want to do it, or we'll just start from scratch. That's the main thing we're going to do. So whatever you choose to do, let's go ahead and grab our sketching pencil. So again, on layer 1, let's go ahead and grab our fourth color on the last row of the color palette and grab our sketching pencil, the 6B pencil under the sketching category. Okay, the opacity for my brush is at 100. Let's go ahead and set our size to 30. And let's go ahead and just first sketch our body. So our body is going to be kind of on the right side of our canvas here. We'll tilt the whole thing in a minute. We're going to draw it a little bit more straight up and down. The body will still be tilted just a tad. So I'm going to start and just kind of sketch a quick kind of oval here like this at a slight angle with a circle on top. And then we'll have an antenna coming off of that. But it can be pretty basic for now. I'm going to make it a little skinnier, maybe a little longer. Okay, so that's our body. Just going to kind of darken it up a little bit. And then let's see, I might move it down a little bit further on my canvas. So I'm going to grab it with my arrow tool and just move it down a little bit further so we have plenty of room for the wings here. So our top wing goes up a lot farther than our bottom wing. So I'm just going to move it to like the lower right area here. And it got a little bit big as well. So on uniform, I'm just going to downsize it just a little bit. So if we were to move it like directly to the bottom, we would take up maybe half of our canvas from top to bottom. That's about how long it is. So I'm going to move it back up here again a little bit, about here. Okay, now we're going to make a guide for the wings first before we actually sketch the wings so that we just kind of get their size and placement. So I'm just going to sketch kind of an outline for them or kind of like a block for them. I'm going to start a little ways down from the head, kind of right on the body here. I'm going to go kind of up at an angle like this. I'm just drawing like a straight line pretty high up there. That's about how far out like our wing will extend. Roughly, maybe not quite that far. Something kind of like this though. So at a good like high angle, so it's a ways above our head. Then from this point, I'm just going to sketch maybe straight down or down and to the left just a little bit, but almost straight up and down a good ways. Again, below the body now a little bit, and then straight and then back into the body at a little bit of an angle so that we hit it a little ways above like the bottom of the body. So something kind of like this. I'm just using my eraser on the monoline brush to clean it up a little bit. Okay, but this just kind of gets like the starting shape that we're going to use. So now let's actually sketch the wings. So I might sketch that on a new layer. So on my layer menu, add a new layer. I'm going to start at the same point now, and this point here is like the very tippy top of my wings. I'm going to create a curved line there. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to kind of curve this way. Nice kind of gentle curve. Then at the tip here, it'll kind of round and come back in. So I'm going to kind of round it out there, kind of create that rounded top. Then maybe it'll curve in a little bit. It'll curve back out a little bit. Maybe it'll curve in a little further because we want this point to be like the furthest point, you know, this one here. So maybe it'll curve in a little further, then back out just to like maybe here. So I went past my shape the first time and now I'm like on the edge of my shape there. So yeah, so maybe something kind of like this, kind of wavy a little bit. And then when we get pretty low on our shape here, maybe like 2/3 of the way down, we'll start coming back in and we'll just kind of come in at, you know, like a little under the halfway point. So just kind of like a straightish line back to the body, which will get covered up by our next shape. But yeah, something like this to start, kind of fix that up here and there. You know, use your eraser some if you wish. So I think that looks pretty good for that wing. Let's go ahead and make a new layer for our next one. So add a new layer, and we're going to start our next one now about like a third of the way down the body. So maybe like right about here. And same thing, we're going to kind of start with like a curve line, and then we'll only go out about as far as our shape does. So we're going to just kind of curve down there. Again, maybe make kind of a chunky wavy piece and then come back in. So I went quite a bit lower than my shape did, but that's okay. I think something like this. So it's just kind of curvy on the end here, but a pretty smooth shape overall. Nothing real crazy about it. Okay, it is on a new layer, so if you need to do anything else to it, go ahead and do so. I might grab it with my arrow tool. You can like rotate it. You can, you know, change the size of it, anything like that. So I just made it a little bit smaller, rotated it a teeny bit. But again, I don't want it to stick out any further than my top wing does. That's like kind of our main event there. So maybe something like that. I'll kind of erase that, clean that up a little bit. Okay, then let's go back to our very first sketch layer, and then I'm just going to erase with the body and the shape on it, and I'm going to erase this shape a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll erase some of the main kind of lines here so they don't get in our way too much. Okay, so now I can kind of better see how things are looking. I think that looks great. We still just need his back wing now, so I'm going to go to my layer menu, adding new layer at the top, grab my pen tool again, and we're kind of just going to mirror this shape a little bit. So I'm going to come in a little further here on the top of the wing, and I'm just going to kind of stick off and kind of make that rounded piece, and then a curved line going back to the base at that same point. So very simple there. That is our back wing. Okay, again, now we can rotate everything, change anything up that we need to. So on our layer menu, let's see, I'm going to select all of them and rotate them first. So I'm going to select one, slide right on the others to select them also. Grab it with my arrow tool and we can kind of resize the whole thing on uniform or freeform or anything like that. Might stretch it out a little. We're going to rotate it quite a bit to the right, and then I'm just going to lower it here and place it kind of centered in my canvas here, like so. Okay, and then in doing that, I do just want these two wings to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go back and select just those two. So that's this one and this one. Arrow tool on uniform. Make them a bit bigger. Kind of move them down a little bit. Maybe something more like that. So they just take up a bigger chunk of space. But otherwise, I think that looks pretty good. We can always resize our body too. Now our body's kind of separate, even though it had that shape on it, but it's kind of separate also. So we can resize that, rotate it, whatever you need to do there as well. And then now I kind of like the way everything's shaped and proportioned. So I'm not going to resize anything individually anymore. So I'm going to go to my layer menu, snap them all together, grab it with my arrow tool, and just kind of reposition it once more, rotate it a little bit more, maybe even something like that looks good. Okay, but now we're ready to go ahead and start making all of our shapes and stuff, and then we'll add all of our colors and textures and everything, and then all the veins through them as well. So let's just go ahead and keep going. So on our layer menu with this sketch here now on one layer, let's go ahead and click the N on this layer and drag the opacity down a bit to maybe like 30%. Add a new layer, drag our new layer below our sketch layer. And let's first just do our body. So our body base color is this first one on the last row. We'll switch our brush to the monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Opacity at 100, size at 30. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to first start and draw a perfect oval. So I'm going to start kind of inside the head here where the top of the oval would be. The head will cover it up and draw a good oval like this. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. You can click the ellipse button at the top to adjust it if you need to. I might make it a little skinnier. Yeah, something about like this, just roughly following our sketch. And then go ahead and fill that in. And then our head is going to be on the same layer, so I'm just going to start up here now and make a perfect circle. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Set a good size. Click the circle button. Move it a little bit if you need to kind of recenter it on the top of our other oval there now. And then fill that in. Awesome. We'll get to the antennae later, so I will just leave this here for now. I might grab it with my arrow tool and just downsize it a little bit to better fit my sketch where we want our wings to hit. So maybe about like that. Awesome. Layer menu, new layer. Drag the new layer below our body layer, and we'll draw our first wing. So let's grab our wing color, our wing base color, which is the second one on the top row. And same monoline brush, and I'm just going to follow this main wing shape first. So to get some smooth lines, you just want to draw pretty quickly. So I might start here. You can rotate your canvas and stuff if that helps you. I'm just going to start here maybe, follow it, and then quickly just kind of follow the others until we get a good shape, and just keep doing that till you get one that you like. You can do it in chunks too if you want. So you can do like this line and then take a break and then kind of come back through and do the rest. Connect it at the base underneath our body here. And then we can fill it in and see how it looks. We can go ahead and turn off our sketch on our layer menu, just uncheck it, and then you can kind of see if there's any gaps where you might have, messed up a little bit or where it kind of gets broken there. So I'm going to fix that. Might just kind of make it a little prettier in some areas. And then again, back to our layer menu, turn on our sketch layer again, add a new layer. This layer will stay on top, the one that we're on now. So let's just go ahead and uncheck our layer below this so we can see better. So this is going to be our bottom wing, same base color. So I'm on my new layer. I'm just going to do the same thing, nice and quick and smooth lines, connect it at the base, fill it in. It doesn't have to be perfect. go ahead and turn your sketch off and just check that it's at least looking pretty good. Okay, turn your sketch back on. I think it looks great. We can go ahead and turn our other layer on, and now we can get the whole shape there. That looks good with our sketch off. Okay, sketch back on. We'll make our last base layer, the back top wing. So add a new layer, drag it below all the layers that we have so far. We can go ahead and just turn off this one right above it, the main wing. Okay, we're still on our new layer. Same thing. I'm just going to start here and kind of draw a pretty quick shape there. Maybe do it again. Connect it at the base, fill it in. So it should just go underneath our other wing there. So something like that. Turn our sketch off, make sure it looks good. Everything's connected and smooth and filled in. Okay, then if we go back and turn our sketch back on and our other layer back on, everything looks pretty good. So that's it for our base shapes. Now we're going to go back through one by one and do all of our watercolor stuff to them. So on our layer menu, let's just go ahead and turn off our sketch layer. And then let's just go one by one on our wings. So I'm going to just turn off my bottom wing layer, which is my behind wing. I'm going to turn off this top wing on my layer menu, which is my bottom wing, and just leave our main big wing here active. Let's go ahead and add a layer above it. Click on that layer and set it to a clipping mask. Okay, and now we'll start doing all the fun stuff. So we have on our color palette here, the second color on the top row is the one that we just used for our base color. We have a darker, darker still, much darker, and then a kind of pinky color, and then a really darker color as well. So we have all these colors that we're going to use to create this watercolor effect. So we're going to just start with the first three in line. So third, fourth, and fifth, the bluish ones. The pink and the really dark one we'll use in a moment on separate layers, but these three we'll use on this current clipping mask layer that we have. So let's start with our third color on the top row, and we'll just use this to kind of start laying down some base texture. So the brushes that we're going to use today, we're going to use actually under the painting category, we're going to use this wet acrylic brush towards the top here, and this is just going to help lay down our initial color pretty thick, and then we're going to blend with this here with the watercolor brush. So let's start with our wet acrylic. My opacity of the brush is at 100, my size is at maybe 20, and we're just going to go through and just start laying down some kind of patches of this color. So this kind of lighter color we can kind of add all over. The darker colors we're going to start sticking to the edge, but this one let's just kind of add all over, including the edge, but also just in some other little sections, including like kind of in the middle here coming off of the body. So just start with some kind of basic like that. Then again, grab our blend tool here, the little finger at the top, our smudge tool. Set our brush for it to the watercolor brush under the painting category. Opacity at 100. Let's set our size to maybe 30. And I'm just going to kind of blend out now. So I'm going to start maybe towards the edges here, and I'm just going to kind of blend in the direction of the wing like this way. So I'm just going to kind of keep blending all those together. Blending them out like this. So then we have something like this as just kind of some starting color. Okay, same layer. Now let's go ahead and move to our darker kind of middle color here, the fourth one on the top row. Same brush, the wet acrylic, and we'll go through and we're going to keep this mostly towards the edges now. So I'm just going to start and just lay down a good kind of thick section all the way around the edges. Okay, then grab our blend tool again, and same thing, we're going to keep blending in this direction. So blend out these on the edges, kind of following the curve of that. And then, yeah, same thing. We're just kind of always blending like this. I'm kind of starting from the edge and pulling like this way, pulling into the shape. So then it also just gives us kind of some good brush texture as well, which our butterfly would have, kind of like some veininess. Okay. Then we'll do that one more time. We'll add another much darker color now, the fifth one on the top row. Same acrylic brush. Let's go ahead and add this on, maybe not all the edges, but let's just maybe stay on like this main top edge here, maybe a little further down like here, something like that to start. Blend tool again, blend it through. Okay. And traditional watercolor has like a really deep dark edge, and we are going to add that also. So it doesn't look quite super watercolory yet, but we will get there. So I just keep blending. Now I'm blending kind of out with my lighter color as well. Just kind of making it kind of blobby looking here and there as well. Adding some good texture, good variation. Okay, so that's the start. Now let's go ahead and add in the purple color or the pinkish color. So on our layer menu, let's add another new layer above this one now. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask, and click the N and set the layer style here, drag it up to overlay. Grab our pinky color, the sixth one on the top row, same acrylic brush, and same thing. We're just going to lay down some good sections of this kind of pinky color, just kind of wherever, some on the edges, some towards the base, just a good few kind of blobs of it. And then same thing, blend tool. We're going to blend out the edges a little bit. Just kind of blend them all together so it all looks kind of part of the same idea. Don't blend it too far to where you can't see it anymore, but just want some good kind of variation. Okay, and then lastly, we'll make that really dark edge. So on our layer menu, add another new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, just a normal layer this time. Grab our last color on the top row, seventh in line, same wet acrylic brush, and we're just going to go right around the edges and just add a good little bit of this, not coming in very far. And it is on a new layer, so I'll kind of show you what happens there. But yeah, so just add this all around the edges to start. Okay, so back to our blend tool. We'll maybe lower the size a little bit to like 10. And then we're going to just kind of blend on the edges like this. So just kind of following the shape, in the direction of our wing. But essentially, like if you blend too far in, since it's on its own layer, you just got to blend back out and it just kind of goes away. It's not even necessarily blending this other color through. It's just blending nothing into it. But then you can always start from the edge and pull back out. But yeah, but you just kind of want to blend right on the edge there. But yeah, if you ever came in too far, just kind of blend it the other way. But yeah, but this is kind of the traditional watercolor effect, and we will also add another layer here that kind of brings it all together. So I know like the edges here get really dark on some of these parts that aren't very dark yet. So I'm going to kind of blend through those a little further to make them a little lighter there. But yeah, but we do want the dark edge all the way around to give that kind of watercolor illusion. Okay, so this is how it should look now. And then we're going to add one more final layer to kind of bring it all together even further. So layer menu, add another new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N, and this time we're going to set it to multiply. Okay, so we're going to create the veins now. And to do that, we're going to use these two colors on the second row. So we're going to start with the first one. We're going to switch our brush under the inking category to the ink bleed brush. I have the opacity at 100, my size, let's do 30. And this is going to be another kind of edge color, but also our veins. So let's first start on the edge. I'm just going to kind of go around the edge and add this there. So I'm just going to kind of follow the edges all the way around. Like so. So then you kind of stake them out a little bit, like thicker on this side is fine, kind of thinner towards the top on like the top edge there, but all the way around. And it'll also deepen up the color of our edge color that we just laid down. Okay, so it'll look something like this to start. So just all the way around there, some good texture. And then we're going to start on this leftmost edge here. We're going to come in a little bit from where we just drew. So maybe starting right here. And I'm going to start and I'm just going to kind of follow the waves up like this in a new line. Okay. Then we're going to kind of create some like circles. So I'm just going to kind of circle, another circle or oval or something kind of like this, all the way down, like so. And then fill in any of these gaps around the circles. Doesn't have to be anything too perfect, but something just kind of fun like this. This is just adding our, kind of veiny detail to the wing. Okay, so that's a good start. And then, okay, then we'll come through to the like middle-ish point or like maybe a third in from where we were. So maybe right about here. And we'll kind of do a similar thing. We'll do a nice big kind of curvy line. Thicken it up quite a bit. So maybe something like this. Okay, and then that's just kind of the middle point of our line just for like design purposes. And then we're just going to kind of connect everything now with some more veins. So like I'll start here and I'll just kind of make like a vein going this way. I'll make one coming off of it. Maybe we'll do another one like here. Just some random kind of curvy lines, all kind of connecting with each other in random directions, like so. Then we'll do the same thing for down here. So I'm going to start at the base. I'm going to maybe start there and make like one big one going this way. Maybe I'll have one come off that to connect to that middle point there. Maybe another one off of that. Maybe one like here connecting to the edge. Let's see. Maybe we'll do kind of another main one over here with some coming off of that. Something kind of like that. Feel free to do as many or as few of those as you would like. But that is the start of our kind of veininess. So now we're going to just kind of add some more depth to it. So on our layer menu, we're going to click on this layer with our veins once you're happy with them and turn on alpha lock. We're going to grab our darker color, now the second one on the second row, switch back to our acrylic brush under the painting category, the wet acrylic brush that we were on, same settings. And we are just going to kind of go through and add some sections of this darker color here and there through the veins, just like this, just to kind of add some more variation to them. But that's it for our first wing. So that completes it. That gives it our nice kind of watercolor effect. And we can go ahead and move on to our next one now. So on our layer menu, we're just going to maybe group these together. So I'm going to select one. I'm going to select my base layer, slide right on all the clipping masks above it, and then click group. I'm going to click this arrow to minimize it. Okay, then I'm going to grab this next layer right above it. That's going to be our bottom wing here. Turn that back on. And we can leave this last group on. Unless you want to turn it off, you can turn the group off. But I'm going to leave it on, that's fine. But now above our new layer, let's add a clipping mask and get started again. So we're going to start back with our third color on the top row, wet acrylic brush, and start again. So we'll just first with this one, somewhat follow the edges, but kind of just make some blobs through the center. Blend it all out. We can turn our blend back up to like 20, I think it was on before, the size of our blend. Okay, but yeah, just blend it all out. Okay, something like that to start. Then our next color, fourth one on the top row, will stick around the edges primarily. Pretty much all the way around. Blend those out now. So I'm going to kind of blend out into my wing. Blend back a little bit here and there. Blend the edges all just like in the direction of the edge. Okay, I might also add this color kind of right where the body is, just a little splotch of it there. Blend tool and kind of blend it out from there. So we just kind of have a little bit of a darker piece there as well, just to add some difference. Okay, once that's all blended out pretty nicely, we'll go ahead and move on to our next color, the darkest of our blues here, the fifth one on the top row. Same thing, and again, we're just going to kind of add this mainly to the far edge here, not the whole edge. Maybe just a few little sections, maybe the teeniest little bit right in the middle there, on near the body again. Blend tool, blend that out. So something like this. And now we'll add our purplish pinkish color, and then we'll add the dark edge, and then we'll add the multiply layer again that we did before. So we already know what we're doing, so this one's going a little quicker. So on our layer menu, let's add another new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N, set it to overlay. Grab our pinkish color, sixth one on the top row. Same acrylic brush, and let's just again add some little sections of this throughout the wing down here. Then grab our blend tool and blend them through, but never blending too much to where they kind of go away. Want to keep them. Awesome. Now, layer menu, add a new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask, just a normal layer this time. Grab our darkest color, the seventh one on the top row. Same acrylic brush again. And again, we'll just very, very lightly go around the edge now. Lightly meaning like not too far in, but if you do go too far in, we can blend it out. That's okay. Something like this to start. Grab our blend tool. again, we can drop our blend size to like 10% for this. And yeah, we'll just kind of blend in the direction of the wing edge, making sure to blend out anything that got too dark. But also just blending in general to create that darker edge there. Okay, once that's all blended out, we're going to make our multiply layer with our veins again. We'll do it a little bit differently this time in terms of like the design. It'll be similar. We'll do like the circles on the edge, but we just won't do this middle piece here. We'll just do like straight veins from there. So layer menu, let's add a new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. Grab the first of our shadow colors, first one on the second row. Switch back to our ink bleed at 30% for our size. And let's first again go around the edge to create an extra little bit of texture and shadow there. Just all the way around. Kind of getting thicker on this back area. But yeah, filling it all the way in till we see some of our texture kind of start popping out there. Like so. Okay, same thing on the back side here. So I went in pretty far on this left side. I came in pretty far with it. And then I'm going to start in a little ways from that. And I'm going to kind of just create like another layer, kind of like this maybe. And then this is where we'll draw our circles off of. So then we'll draw a circle in here, a circle, a circle, a circle, a circle, or an oval or whatever. Fill in all these little gaps around them so that we just have the circles like so. So that's the start of it. So then we just are going to draw veins from the base here. So I'm going to start maybe just like a third of the way down and start and draw the first one, kind of going up into these different areas, kind of branching off and things like that. And then maybe I'll go down a little bit and start like another one. Kind of connect them like this or something. Maybe like one more towards the bottom here if there's room to just create another little piece coming off there. So something like that for that bottom one. Then again, once you're done with that, go to your layer menu, click on this layer, turn on alpha lock, grab our darker color, second one in the second row, switch back to our painting brush, the wet acrylic brush, and just again with this darker color add a few little just sections of this throughout. Just again for some more variation. Okay, so this is looking awesome so far. We just have our one last wing to do, the little teeny one up here, so that'll be pretty quick. And then we'll do some texture and stuff on our body and add our antennae, and then we can do our background like splatters and stuff, add our paper texture at the end, and then we're good to go. So layer menu, let's go ahead and group these layers together also. So select the base one, side right on all the clipping masks and click group. If you are running out of layers at all, you can flatten these. So, we can leave them in separate layers just in case that you want to adjust anything ever. But if you're happy with them and you need to save some layers, you can just click on the group and click flatten and it'll just turn it into one layer and that'll save you a lot of layers. So do that if you need to as we go. But otherwise, we are now going to just go back to our bottom layer here with our back little wing piece on it. Turn that on, add a new layer above it, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Let's first grab our third color on the top row. We're still on our acrylic brush, and let's kind of go around the edges and maybe through the middle a little bit. We can't really see much, so we'll just kind of do what we can here. Click our blend tool up to 20% or so and kind of blend that out. Okay, next color, fourth one on the top row, around the edges, blend that out. Next color, fifth one on the top row, right around this top edge mainly. And blend that out. I'll blend this one back a little bit. I came in a little too far, but blend this forward or into it at least. So something kind of like that. That's it. That's all we're doing for that layer. Layer menu, add a new layer. Click on it, set it to a clipping mask. Click the end, set it to overlay, and we'll do our paint color. Add in a few just quick sections of that. Blend tool, blend them out. Awesome. Layer menu, new layer. Click on it, set it to a clipping mask. Normal layer this time. Grab our darkest color, seventh one on the top row. Same brush, and we'll just go around the edge, darkening that up. Blend tool again, blend that through, blend it out, whatever you got to do. Kind of get that darker color on the edge there, like so. Okay, layer menu, new layer. Click on it, set it to a clipping mask. Click the end and set it to multiply. And let's see. We're going to do our two colors on the second row now. So starting with the first one on the second row, switch back to our ink bleed under the inking category. And again, let's first start by going around the edge, adding some texture there. Okay, starting at the tip again, we're going to kind of mirror this one now. So starting at this far edge again, I'm just going to make that nice and thick. I'm going to go around, I'm going to make another line coming down like this, a little ways away from it, and do like maybe one or two circles that we can see. Whatever you can kind of see there to start. Okay, then same thing, we're going to kind of mimic what this is. So I'm going to go down a little further into the wing and just make a good thick kind of line here that is what that is. And then we'll kind of go off of that. So then I'll kind of maybe just make a few quick lines that we can see there. Maybe make a few quick lines that we can see that would be connecting to the base down here. So just whatever you can see on that wing, go ahead and do that. Layer menu, click on this layer, turn on alpha lock, grab our darker color, second on the second row, switch back to our acrylic again, and just add in a few little sections of that to kind of mix it up. But that being said, that is our back wing all done. So then on our layer menu, we can again group these layers together. So our base layer, side right on the others, group them together. Okay, next up is our body, and we're actually just going to do everything on our body on one layer. So that'll just help save some layers too. So just click on this layer with our body on it and turn on alpha lock. And we're going to add, the watercolor texture to it, but just right on this layer. So let's see, our base color was this first one on the last row, so then we have this kind of purpley one, this darker one, and this really dark one for the edge. So let's grab our purpley one first, second one on the bottom row. Still on our acrylic brush, we might lower our size a little bit to like 15%, and we'll just kind of throw some of this purple in the middle a little bit, just kind of all over. Grab our blend tool, maybe we'll have that set to like 10% also, and kind of just blend out the purple through it a little bit. So we get a little variation going. Okay, then we have a darker than our base color, this third one on the bottom row. So same acrylic brush, we'll just kind of do this like around the edges a little bit here and there, like so. Blend tool again, and let's kind of blend this through. So this can add some good kind of, shadow and texture throughout. And then our next one's going to be like our main edge color. So this one can kind of just have some going through it even, like so. Okay, then we have our main edge color, fourth one on the bottom row, same acrylic brush. Be very careful to just go right around the edges. And then we'll blend this out. You know, we don't want a lot of this darker color, but just so blend from the middle out to the edge to just leave a little bit of this darker color on the edge there. Blending the edges of it as well, so it looks something like this. Okay. So that's it for our body. So now we're going to draw our antenna. Let's go ahead and add a new layer under our body layer here. So on our layer menu, I'm just going to add a layer right above this group. So we're underneath our body there. Same really dark color that we're on now, fourth one on the bottom row. And we're actually just going to go back to our monoline brush really quick under the calligraphy tab. Let's set our size to like 50% really quick. And I'm just going to make like the balls of the antenna first. So I'm just going to go a little ways to the top and right of my head here. And maybe make one dot, go down a little bit, make another down and to the right, make another dot. Let's lower our brush really low to like 2 to 3%. And we're going to connect them to our head. So I'm going to start right on one ball, draw a quick curved line to our head, hold it down till it turns perfectly smooth. Same thing with the other one, kind of right to that same point. Hold it down again. And those are our antenna. Okay, and that's basically it for our butterfly. So do any other adjusting that you need to. If you want to pop open any of these other groups, if you still have them, go ahead and do so. If you want to like, you can even like move the body around still if you need to or resize it or something. Like you can select everything and rotate it. So you can select the body, the antenna, the groups, arrow tool, you can resize it, you can rotate it, you can do whatever you need to do to it to get it to where you like it. So do what you got to do. Otherwise, let's go ahead and add our background now. So on our layer menu, let's go ahead and add a layer to the very top, and then we'll just drag it on down to the bottom underneath everything that we have so far. And let's go ahead and start making our kind of splattery effect. So the colors that we're going to use for that are going to be these last three on the last row here that we have. So this blue, purple, and pink. So I'm going to start with this bluish color, seventh in line. And we are going to use under the spray paints category, this burst brush. I'm going to have my opacity at like 50 on the brush here. And then the size, we're going to do pretty big at like 60 to 70. And I'm just going to maybe tap in a few areas and kind of like overlap them and stuff like this. So I'm just going to kind of make some good sections of like this bluish color kind of all around. Something maybe like this. And we are going to lower the opacity of it. So if yours seems like it's getting a little out of control, I promise you it's not. Okay, same layer. We're going to grab our purpley color now, the eighth one on the last row, and then do kind of the same thing in a few sections. And then our pinkish color, ninth one on the last row, same thing. We'll just kind of layer this throughout our other colors. So it's also good to help kind of lighten it up in a few areas if you need to, but again, we will lower the opacity of it. But this just helps add some variation, and then feel free to go back in with any of the other colors also and kind of throw some more blue in there or something if you need to. But once that's all set, let's go to our layer menu, click the N on this layer, and we're going to drag the opacity down quite a bit to like maybe 50 to 60% somewhere in there. So it's nice and faded in the background. Okay, layer menu, add one layer above that, and this will be our last layer. We're just going to add some kind of flicks of the same color or some splatters of the same colors. So let's first go back to our blue color. On our brushes, let's go to our flicks brush this time. Our opacity is at 100. We will lower the opacity of the layer. And then our size, let's do like 30 to 40%. And we are just going to kind of tap everywhere in the background here and there to get some good kind of splatters going. When you tap, they just kind of go somewhere in relation to your brush. They might not go exactly where you want them to, so if they don't, just undo it and redo it until you kind of get them in the spot you were hoping for. I'll do a little bit of the blue. I'll switch to the purple. We'll do a little bit of that as well. Again, overlapping or kind of on their own. We'll do the pink again as well as next, which is pretty light. You can't see it super well, but I just also kind of wanted this lighter color just to add some more just variation. Okay, once you have that where you like it, let's go to our layer menu, click the N on this layer and drag the opacity down a little bit to maybe like 60%. I'm going to grab it with my arrow tool and just kind of lower the size a little bit as well so that it's not so far close to the edges. So I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. So feel free to do that if you need to. So you can do the same thing with the bursts in the background. If that got too big, you can just kind of lower the size of that layer a little bit, bring it in a little closer. But do whatever you wish. And then lastly is our paper texture. So you should have downloaded that also. So on our layer menu, let's just go to the very top of our layers, add a new layer right up there, and insert our paper texture. So let's do the gear icon. Add, click insert a file, find the paper texture where you downloaded it. It imports as a rectangle, but let's just be on uniform. We'll zoom out a little bit and we can just stretch this out until all of our edges touch like so. Then on our layer menu, click the N on this layer for our paper texture, and we're going to slide this to linear burn. That is the one we're going to use. You can mess around with some other ones like multiply, but I think linear burn is nice. It kind of keeps our colors a little bit better, maybe brightens them up, darkens them up. And then I'm just going to drag the opacity down a little bit though too, to maybe like 60 to 70%, so it's not as, crazy looking. You can leave it at 100, but I prefer just a little bit lower so we get the paper texture, but it doesn't like overwhelm our picture. Just kind of enhances it. So once you have that added, that completes our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future tutorials that I post. And if you'd like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it. So go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.